Hey guys, it's Maymay. And I have a couple of friends, Melinda and Mirian. And I got to speak to Mirian for her birthday this year. And she said to me she would like if I could take the star card that you guys have seen all over the internet. I know it's been around for several years. And I could shrink it down to fit into an A2 size envelope. So that's what we're doing today. Now, what you're going to start with, this is a piece of cardstock. It is 7.5 by 6.5. Okay, so that's how we're going to start. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the middle. And I want to mark the middle on the 7.5 inch side, so the longer side. So I'm just going to lay this here on my cutting mat using my ruler. I'm going to make a mark at 3 3/4 because that is half of 7.5. Now, I will tell you, the more precision you can be with your marks, the better, okay? So don't make just a big old huge mark. Make a small pencil mark so it'll drive you right to that point because we're making a triangle, so we're making like points, and we want them to be as crisp as they can. Now, using my paper trimmer, and I've pulled this off the screen because you really don't need to see the top. We're going to be working kind of in the middle like this. What we're going to do is we're going to take that center point pencil mark and put it on our cut line, and we're going to take the bottom point and put it centered on our cut line. So we want the point and the pencil mark to be in the cut line, okay? And I'm taking my time because I want to be a little precise with this. Now, I have to give you this tip, and you really have to get it because this matters. Anytime with any blade that you're using to cut points like this, don't take your blade and push it up into the point. If you do that, you're going to get buckling at that point, and we want our points to stay nice and crisp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my blade into the middle of the line that I want to cut and sink it down. So I just pressed my blade in, and then I'm going to go in either direction, up and then down. And don't go fast, okay? Because you still can grab it if you're not careful. So just go kind of slow, and this gets you perfect, crisp corners every time, okay? Now we need to do the same thing, but on this side. And we can actually flip it over now because we have the mark there, which becomes a point at the top. So I'm going to cut this exactly the same, putting that point here and this point here, and then sinking my blade and bringing it back. So I got nice, crisp points on my triangle, okay? Now we keep going forward. Now I'm going to pull out my scoreboard. And I've made a sample to show you what this is going to look like. Let me move this out of the way so I can show you my sample first. This is the triangle I just made. We're going to make these score marks. There's lots of ways to do it based on how I saw it on different videos, but I want to do it this way because I want the work to be done for me, so all I have to do is fold and not do a bunch of measuring. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put one flat side of our triangle over against the edge of our scoreboard, okay? And then we're going to score it at 3/4 and 3 1/4 and then 4 1/4. All right. Then we're going to turn it back to the other flat side, and we're going to score again 3 1/4, 4 1/4, and one more time 3 1/4, 4 1/4. Then the work is done for us. So watch what happens. This is my cream colored paper. Let me get my little embossing tool, and I'm going to score it 3 1/4. So what I like to do is go ahead and put my tool in the line that is 3 1/4, kind of above it. And then I can get myself started so I don't slip out of the line. And I'm going to do that a couple times. That's 3 1/4. Now I need to go to 4 1/4. So the same thing, just get myself started and then get into the line. And then I'm going to turn it. And you guessed it, 3 1/4. And then 4 1/4. Now, a way you can know that you're scoring in the right place, like you should be, is these score lines are going to meet up, okay? They're going to make a triangle. So you want to pay attention to that. I will tell you, you can be slightly off and this will still work. So if you're slightly off, keep going and see what happens. All right, 3 1/4 and 4 1/4. So I just tried to do the math. I kind of worked back to this so you guys wouldn't have to do all the weird math. This way it's just done just like this, okay? Now, if you want a one color, let me put my scoreboard back because it's going to be loud. If you want a one color star, this is all you need to do. All we're going to do now is make the folds. So I'm going to fold on those score lines, okay, and crease it down with my bone folder, just like so. I should say this to you, that 3 1/4 score line goes in. This 4 1/4 goes out. That's what makes your star point, okay? So do it like that. Now, in some places, I noticed that, and this is going to happen because we get off a little bit, that my little star point overlapped my score line. If that causes you any issue, just use your little your trimming scissors and just kind of trim that down to give it a little ease. You know how we do when we're making boxes and we cut some of the thickness away? It's the same kind of thing. We might use these in a second. We'll see if we need them. All right, so the 3/4 line goes in and it nestles in those in that triangle for you. The 4 1/4 line comes back. Crease that one down. Then the same thing here. Just like so. Now, I will tell you, this is one of those projects you don't need any fancy tools for, okay? Because you can easily use a ruler. Let me show you. When you finish, and I want to show you how this works, you can easily use a ruler and make these marks. This is all you'd need to do. Matter of fact, let me do it on the other side. So if I didn't have a scoreboard and I wasn't making the score marks, I would just come to the side of my triangles, okay? And I would mark the center all the way around. I would mark it here, and then I would turn it and I would mark it again over here. Just like so, just marking the center of each flat side. This is if you don't have a scoreboard to do what I just showed you, okay? Then all you have to do is you take these points, this point, and you line it up at that pencil mark that you made, and you crease that down, okay? So you start that way. So you line it up at your pencil marks and crease that down, and then line this one up at your pencil mark. So if you don't have a scoreboard, that's the first place to start. Then all you do is you measure out 1 inch away from that fold, okay? So this next line is 1 inch away. You make a mark on this edge and this edge at 1 inch, okay? And then using your ruler, super easy, you just lift this guy, you put it at those marks, and then lift that up to get your fold. Okay, so you don't have to have a scoreboard, but if you do, it goes super easy. But if you don't have a scoreboard, that's how you do it. Let's go back to the one we already have working. So now you fold one in, okay, fold the next one in. See how I'm getting some resistance right there? That's going to happen. So what I'm going to do to take care of that little part that is pushing away from me is in this section right here, the flat section between my points, I'm going to trim away a sliver, not much, just a sliver. You see how much I trimmed, okay? It wasn't a whole bunch. And then what I'm going to do is be able to fold this down and fold this over and get a nice clean fold. So if that happens, and it can, because when we're scoring paper, it can kind of get out of whack. See, I'm getting a little pressure here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull both my points back, take some scissors, and cut a sliver off. And that will get me, it won't mess up my measurements or anything. It just takes some of that bulk out so I can close this guy down. And I'm getting a little bit right there, but not too much. I don't think enough to even bother with. And you may not get that, but if you do, that's how you deal with it, okay? And then we need to close this. Right now it'll pop back open, but what you do is you close one inside, one on top of that, and the inside-most point then wraps over your outermost point, and that locks it in. Now that's super cool, and it looks really neat because it is a cool little star. When the person gets it, they can open it up and you can have a message inside. But now I want to show you how to cut the pieces to get layered pieces inside your triangles and inside your straight areas here. Now I want to create some pieces to be layers on top of these. So whenever you close it up, each one will have a layer on it. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to have to do some measuring, very similar to what we did before, okay? I'm going to use 4 pieces of paper to be my layers, and the one in the middle is going to be this guy. I want it to be one that I can stamp on so I can put a sentiment in the middle. These pieces are 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. Now don't worry about measurements too much. I'm going to make sure that Tamitha has them to put into our blog post that I'll link below so you can get them there. But what I need to do with this 2 3/4 by 3 1/4 piece is mark the middle. And I want to mark the middle on the 3 1/4 side. So I happen to know that 1 5/8 is half of 3 1/4. So I'm just going to make a mark here. So what I did was I lined it up to 1 5/8 and made a mark at my cut line there to let me know. I need to do that on all of these guys. So I'm just going to run through and make myself a mark at the cut line. And we're just basically going to make little triangles. That's all we're going to do. So I'm going to use each one of these 4 pieces, and we will make little triangles with them. One more piece. And 1 5/8. And mark that middle. Just like so. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take that pencil mark and this corner edge, and we're going to do just like we did with the big sheet, and we're going to make some small triangles. Okay, so just lining up those points like we did to make the card base, and we're doing the same thing. I'm sinking my blade and cutting top to bottom. So there's one triangle ready. Just going to go ahead and prep them all exactly the same way. Pencil mark to corner, sink my blade and slice. So I'm going to cut all 4 of these, and then I'll show you how we have to kind of doctor them to make them work. Now the one that's going in the middle, this triangle is perfect. I don't have to do anything else to it, and I'm going to lay it here and show you. When I glue this in, it's going to have a border all the way around it. So you're going to center it inside of that triangle fold, and you'll get that kind of matte border edge all the way around, okay? For the ones that are going to go here, we got to do a little fancy footwork. It's real easy though. Here's what we're going to do. Taking one of the straight edges, I'm going to put it on the 3/4 of an inch cut mark. Now, this is a little difficult, but don't worry, it's not that bad. Here's why it's a little difficult. You put it to the 3/4 and you have to use your trimmer grid to make sure you got it straight. Most trimmers, I know this Cricut trimmer in particular, has this grid that you can follow. So I know I've got this straight edge lined up on that grid just like it needs to be. So I'm getting it nice and straight. I'm going to place this down and I'm going to slice 3/4 of an inch off the bottom. Okay, so there's one piece I need. I'm going to put that aside. Then this triangle just needs one more slice, and that is it needs 1/8 of an inch off of the bottom. Again, I'm going to use my grid here to help me be nice and straight. And so many of you ask me why I have this little blue piece of tape here. That's why. So I can measure 1/8 of an inch on this side. So I just cut myself a little strip to mark the 1/8, and I know where it is that way. All right, this little strip I don't need. Get rid of that one. And these 2 guys are ready to be matte pieces for my little triangles, okay? Let's do it again. Cut 3/4 of an inch off the bottom. We're going to use that, but we're going to cut it from the bottom first. So there's one of our little pieces. And then I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch off of this guy. This was the easiest way for me to do it. That extra little 1/8 of an inch cut just made this so easy. So that's how I did it. You may come up with a better way, or a way for you to do it, something that works for you, but this made it super easy for me to match these guys up, and it works. Okay, so this guy's ready for us to mount our little matte pieces on. I'll show you what I mean. This little triangle piece will live right up here, just like so, and you'll see it'll have a mat all the way around it. Now, something I want you to pay attention to that I think I'm going to do. I can either come back and cut a piece for here doing exactly what I did just then, or I may just put this piece on the back side. I'll show you why. If I put this here, when I do the folding on this guy, I end up with my pattern like so. See how I can see it there? Because if you put it underneath, it's not going to show here. Let me just lay it in place. I should just glue it and show you. But I'm going to do it so that my pattern goes behind like that. Let's just do that real quick. So I'm going to start with these little points. So I'm going to get my glue out. So using my art glitter glue, I'm going to run some glue around this little triangle. And I'm going to mat this one right here in this little spot. Then I'm going to get a different one. Put it over here. Just like so. And then my last one is going to go right there. That's a pretty side too. This pattern paper I'm using comes from the, let me see what this set is from and I'll show you real quick. It comes from the Gift of Christmas. We have this in 12 by 12 and 6 by 6. I really like this pad and you get lots of paper in it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this guy over, okay? And I want to put these in different spots. I don't want to match them. So like this one, I don't want it to be the red under it. I'm going to use the little stars under it. So I'm just going to run some glue under here. And then I'm just going to mount this like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I've got the stars here, so I'm going to use, I have to use the red. Nope, I have to use the plaid or else I'll be in trouble. So I'm going to use the plaid under there because I don't want them to line up. If I don't use the plaid here, then all I've got left is the plaid, and I don't want them to match. Put that one there. So here I have the plaid, and the red goes underneath. All right. You can, of course, cut them to put them there, but I think I'm not going to. And this guy is what would get my sentiment, and it would go in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and put it in there, even though I don't have a sentiment on it. I can do it later. My pencil mark is showing. I'm going to use my mono sand eraser to get rid of that. This eraser is perfect for pencil marks. I have never seen anything take them off as easy as that. It's the mono sand eraser. It's awesome. Again, we'll have that linked in our blog post. All right, a little glue. Oh, I'm going to put this straight down, but I want to tell you, if you wanted to turn this into an ornament, this is a great place to run some ribbon underneath here or some string and glue it down behind this piece so that when you close it up, when you go to hang it, you'll have a streamer coming out, if that makes sense. So if you wanted to make it an ornament, that's a good place to do it. All right, so now we close one down and then one on top of that. I think I'm going to go this way so the patterns play nicely. And then remember, we want to lift up the one that is the bottom, the one that's underneath all of them, and bring it over this piece. Now it gets more rigid as you put the layers on, but check it out. There it is. And now, because Mirian asked me to make this work in an A2 size envelope, I'm going to show you that it does. So this is an A2 invitation envelope. Okay, so this is just one you can buy from Walmart in bulk, or any A2 size envelope will work. And look how that will fit right inside your A2 envelope. So you can mail this now, and you can mail it as an ornament or as a card. And if this is not enough space for you to write inside of here, you have another place to write on the back. Not to mention, all of the little points could say something too. Isn't that cute? So there you go, guys. The A2 sized star card fancy fold card. Now, just in case you're interested, I have created a Cricut cut file. It's a free file. It only used basic shapes to create, and it's for the A2 size. So if you'd like to get that, it'll be in the description below, so you can go use that free cut file as well. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much, Miriam, for encouraging me to try this. It was super fun to figure out, and I hope you guys have fun making it too. Have a great one. Bye-bye.